If everyone could begin taking their seat, we'll get started in just a few minutes. Thank you. If everyone can take their final seats, we're going to get started in just a minute. Thank you. morning, everyone. My name is Scott Wright. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the volunteer host for today. I'm grateful that we can gather together today in the spirit of shared values and fellowship. Whether you're a longtime member or a first-time visitor, here in person or joining on our live stream, we're glad you're here. We are truly fortunate to be in this community together. So that our time together is not interrupted, please take a moment to silence your devices or put them in airplane mode. I appreciate each of you and your consideration and respect for our speaker, our performers, and this community. Thank you. Our first musical selection today is our very wonderful musical director, Claire Menace. Her first song is Accomplish Nothing by Ian McConnell.
Good morning. I came across Ian McConnell on the internet, like we find lots of new music these days. I found him on Instagram. If you're hipper than I am, you might see him on TikTok, I would imagine. But has a lot of interesting musings over music that I think a lot of us wonder about. What if I accomplish nothing? Would that really be so bad? What if I make enough to live until I die and leave no mark behind? What's really wrong with that? Why am I any different from your average bird, bacterium, or hanging fern that takes a turn alive on earth and feeds the worms? We're guaranteed that one thing. So what if I accomplish nothing? Any long-term goals feel silly with the speed at which the world has changed. Any kind of plan of 5, 10, 15 years, good luck to you and cheers. Nobody's got that range. And it feels kind of sci-fi, but it won't be long till AI writes a better song than I'd happen upon on my own. And I'm not sad or angry, really. But any long-term goals feel silly. I just want to walk in the woods with a friend before everything ends. Play a video game in a world that's pretend. Fall in love, read a book, play the piano, learn to cook. Lead an interesting life till it stops. What if I accomplish nothing? I just want to walk in the woods with a friend before everything ends. Play a video game in a world that's pretend. Fall in love, read a book, play the piano, learn to cook. Lead an interesting life till it stops. What if I accomplish nothing?
Thank you, Claire. Amazing as always. We are very lucky to have you in our community.
Thanks, Scott.
Each week, we read the Ethical Education for Youth core values as a way to bring us together and remind us of our shared commitments. During the school year, we have one of our young people read them, but the program is on hiatus for the summer, so I will read them today as a representative for the youth. The core values are: every person is important and unique. Every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly. I can learn from everyone. I am a part of this earth. I cherish it and all the life upon it. I learn from the world around us by using my senses, mind, and feelings. I'm a member of the world community, which depends on the cooperation of all people for peace and justice. I can learn from the past to build for the future. I am free to question. I am free to choose what we believe. I accept responsibility for our choices and actions, and I strive to live my values. It is now time for opening words, when a member shares a little bit about themselves or something they are passionate about. This is a time to deepen our connections with one another. Today we invite new member Tony Easter to speak with us. Welcome, Tony.
Hello, thank you. Need my glasses. My name is Tony Easter. My pronouns are she, they. I've been coming to the Ethical Society since January, and I joined a few months ago. I try to be the change and build community through sustainability and permaculture, activism, and local politics. My two favorite words are synergy and integrity. I am retired from the apparel industry in design, product development, and manufacturing. I'm an organizer for the Sustainable Backyard Network, a volunteer with the St. Louis International Film Festival, a St. Louis County election judge manager, a first-time delegate to the Democratic National Convention this August in Chicago. Thank you. After a lifetime of being an independent, it just matters too much right now. The stakes are too high. I am a former Planned Parenthood clinic escort. I've collected 878 signatures for the Reproductive Rights Initiative petition while registering voters in the process. I was raised in the church and am grateful for my moral compass, which was nurtured in Sunday school. In my 20s, my spiritual beliefs could no longer abide the hypocrisy and the patriarchy of the church. The church teaches that God is coming to save us, putting the responsibility elsewhere. I believe human, cat, bird, bug, grass, tree are all possible assignments as part of the life force of this planet. I suspect that the sum of all life equals God, making all the parts important. We are one part of a very large whole. However, only humans are actively influencing the trajectory of the entire life force of our planet. Our world is in crisis of our own making. It is time for us to wake up and take responsibility for that. Exercising the free will we were given. For many years, folks have been seeking solutions, and many solutions are known to us. We can choose to stop poisoning ourselves and the planet. We can choose to apply the knowledge and start thriving. We could each choose to be responsible for the way we influence the world around us and hope to inspire the same in others, helping others to thrive. I believe when you are on the right path, the path becomes easier. I believe the universe conspires to our highest and best use when we seek that. I was searching for like-minded folk to intentionally evolve with, and this group has me very encouraged. I believe there are a lot of good people here who are seeking universal truths and positive change, and that is why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. If you are a member who would like to share opening words, we will happily get you on the schedule. You can connect with Amy Miller or send an email to the platform speakers team. The team takes turns recruiting each month, so you may also be asked to give opening words. You are always free to decline. However, I urge you to consider it. We value your voice. Let's welcome Claire back to the stage for our second selection, Nature Boy by Nat King Cole.
There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, one magic day, he passed my way. And while we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
Thank you, Claire. Capture the haunting beauty of that selection impeccably. Before our main address, we like to empty our minds, relax our bodies, and take some mindful, deep breaths. Please join me for 1 minute of mindful breathing. Thank you. Our speaker today is a broadcaster, storyteller, author, activist, and public speaker, best known as host of the popular website, podcast, and online community, The Thinking Atheist. Originally the product of Christian fundamentalism, today Seth is an advocate not for religion but for people. And while he is a storyteller, he loves the distraction of supernatural fiction. He ultimately encourages everyone to root their pursuit of the truth in reason and evidence, and to pursue personal relationship with reality. He was also here for a special talk last night, which many of you may have attended, so welcome back to each of you. Please welcome Seth Andrews.
Give me just a second while I get set up. That'd be. By the way, I want Claire to sing the soundtrack to my life. Anyone else hear that voice and be like, oh, just sing to me all the time, Claire? How many people have no idea who I am? Okay, well, those of you sitting near the back are the smart ones, because if you don't have a good time, you can leave and I shouldn't see you, so that's going to be all right. For those who don't know me, in a nutshell, I am a guy who spent, a dozen years plus in Christian radio. I was raised in a devoutly fundamentalist, hardcore, Bible literalist Christian home. And in my 30s, I finally started to do my own thinking and say, does it make sense? I am not an enemy of religious people. I am an advocate for the right to believe. Could I drop the volume on the mic just a hair? My own wife believes in God, and she is the best person I know. Where I go hard is against the dogmas themselves, especially those I consider harmful, and the effort to try to declare ownership of this world over others in the name of God. So yes, I have my moments, but if you hear anything or see anything today, just know I'm going just as hard after my fellow heathen liberal friends as I am anybody else today, okay? I got an interesting email the other day. By the way, this started out as like a 48-minute presentation. I've got it down to like 30 seconds. So if I go 32 minutes, just bring out the hook. But hopefully you won't leave. It'll be all right. I got this amazing, interesting email. I don't think the sender will mind. I've highlighted a few things. I know you can't really read it, but a couple of gentlemen say in my email that they went into a bank, and the bank's location wasn't mentioned here, and apparently the news was that they got is that I'm dead. I died. And I found that news a bit disconcerting, but there is good news attached to it. There is an inheritance in my name. What a great email from total strangers with an unknown IP address. It's strange. The inheritance comes from a relative unknown who executed a contract which may explain my death. That relative is also conveniently dead, but I am the beneficiary of a fund put into place just for me. An inheritance which the two kind gentlemen who work as my representatives now attempt to claim on my behalf. That inheritance needs to be paid with a Visa debit ATM card sent to an address by the gentlemen who represent my corpse. The sender only needs all of my contact details so that I can receive this undisclosed sum bequeathed to me. I think it's legit. I sent it. I haven't heard anything back. It's been 8 weeks, but I'm hoping that maybe before the day is done, I will receive my hopefully millions of dollars. Totally legitimate. Of course, this kind of bogus is totally easy to spot. How many times have we marked it spam, trashed it, got on with our day? And we laugh about it and have fun with it. This guy certainly did. His name is James Veach. You should look him up online. He did a TED Talk where he actually responded to the scammers, and he toyed with them, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So he does like a 20-minute speech about his very humorous exchange with them. I wouldn't respond, watch him respond instead. Here's a harder one. This is a story that decades ago I had very strong opinions about. This is the late Stella Liebeck. She passed away in 2004 at the age of 91. Even if you don't recognize her face, I'll bet you know her story. It was February the 27th, 1992. Stella was 79 at the time. She was in a car. She ordered a coffee from this McDonald's in Albuquerque. Starting to connect the dots. She wanted to add cream and sugar from the packets that they gave her, but when she popped the lid, the coffee spilled into her lap and burned her skin. A lawsuit was brought against McDonald's, and a jury awarded Stella Liebeck $2.9 million. And this became national news and a public freakout. People were protesting. Come on, it's freaking coffee. It's hot. You got to be careful with it, right? You touch hot coffee, you're going to get burned. Anybody with a brain knows this. The media lapped it up, all the major news channels. Then came all the protest about frivolous lawsuits. This is an abuse of the courts. What a ridiculous waste. It's the insanity of giving millions of dollars to this woman who couldn't handle a cup of coffee. Organizations like this called it lawsuit lotto, get rich litigation. The public cried, we need tort reform. Many people don't understand what a tort actually is. A tort is a baked dish. It's got a delicious pastry base and a delicious filling on top of that. Okay, tort reform. This speaks to limiting victims as to what lawsuits they can bring and how much they might receive. Those bloodsuckers, they need to quit milking the freaking system. After all, this America, too many people are gaming the courts. Suck it up, Buttercup. Back in 1992, I was one of those people. Of course, I couldn't tell you her name or where all of this took place, when it happened. I couldn't tell you anything about this story except the little nuggets that I heard on the news, and I knee-jerked into an overdrive of indignation. Now, this information at face value is true, but it is not the story. First, Stella's injury was not the first injury of its kind. In the decade before her accident, 700 other reports of burns had been submitted. Some of those burns were terrible third-degree burns. So a decade, 700 plus separate incidents prefaced her story. This was like, this is not the actual vehicle, but this is the kind of car she was driving, a 1989 Ford Probe. That car has no cup holders, and she was not driving. Her grandson, Cristiano, was driving, and she was in the passenger seat. And they weren't driving. Cristiano had pulled into a parking space so his grandma could get safely situated before they got back on the road. They did it right. The average coffee pot at home keeps a temperature around 150 to 160 degrees. McDonald's maintained a policy at that time that directed its coffee to be 180 to 190. That is almost boiling. Now, I'm going to show you Stella Liebeck's burn injury. If you would rather not see this, totally understandable. Look away. I will tell you when it is safe to return your eyes to the screen. Everybody hear my disclaimer? Am I off the hook? Okay, here we go. We hear coffee burn, we think something like this. We've all had a coffee burn. This is not Stella Liebeck's injury. This is Stella Liebeck's injury. The strip on the top is where they had to take skin for the skin grafts, and she was left permanently disfigured. It's safe to look back at the screen. I'm done with the burn photos. I'm not done with this story. Was her first instinct to say, fine, I'm going to sue you for everything you got? Nope. Here's what she asked for. She said, I would like $20,000 to cover my medical expenses, and I want an agreement in place to protect other people, that you will adjust your coffee temperature so no one gets hurt. That sounds really, really reasonable. McDonald's made a counter offer, $100. And it was only in the face of this that the major lawsuit took place. And when a jury actually saw the facts, especially against the long history of injuries and McDonald's unchanging policies, they awarded $160,000 in compensation. Now, if you're a multi-billion dollar corporation like McDonald's, would $160,000 cause you, motivate you to change your policy? Probably not. So how do you force a company to do right that isn't doing right? You hit them in the pocketbook. At the bottom line, the jury awarded punitive damages of $2.7 million, and Stella Liebeck walked away rolling in the dough, right? Wrong. The judge reduced her award to $480,000. She wound up with even less. And yet she became the poster child for frivolous lawsuits. There's a guy named Randy Cassingham. He actually created an award in her name. Not favorably, he was making fun of her. He said, this award honors real cases of greedy opportunists, frivolous lawsuits, and the law run amok. Now, I want to come back to these 3 bullet points. Again, this is true. These facts are accurate. This is information. But it was information without perspective. Scalding liquid, 700 complaints, not driving, parked, 3rd-degree burn. She tried to be reasonable. She only sued when other options had been exhausted, and she was compensated with a dramatically reduced reward. I didn't have this information. I didn't even seek this information 30 years ago. I was just mad about the coffee. What a dumb lawsuit. Why was I not interested? Why did I not engage? Why didn't I ask any more questions? Why wasn't I skeptical? Anyone remember this? This is from several years ago. This is a little piece of outrage from the Chicago Cubs game. Let me show you a short video from Wrigley Field. I think this is 2018, July 21st, 5 years ago-ish, Wrigley Field. Here's what happened. So this guy's here, ball comes up, rolls under the boy. The man behind the chair grabs the ball and gives it to his wife. Now let's see it again. There's the ball. Here, kid, take the ball. Whoops, goes under the chair. He grabs it and he gives it to his wife. This man is a monster. Cubs second baseman Javi Baez came to the rescue. He gave the boy a signed baseball, and all was right again with the universe, except, of course, for the horrible human being behind him, a man who in 12 seconds had become the most hated person on the internet, okay? We saw this on the internet. For those few seconds, we developed a judgment, made a conclusion. What was our reaction? Oh, I can't believe that guy would take the ball and he would take it from the little boy. He would take it, give it to his wife. What's wrong with people these days? I can't believe the injustice of it all. It's just so crazy. Thunk. Even the title of the video from Hot Sports, highlighting the clip, titled it, Terrible Grown Man Steals Foul Ball from Little Kid. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. We had information. Did we have perspective? Had we taken a breath? Did we know the whole story? Check the Twitter photo of this young boy posing with his baseballs, plural. Wait a minute, why does he have 2 baseballs? Well, there was a guy sitting next to the boy, and he said, well, the other ball was given to him earlier in the game by the man we hated for taking the ball. And this was verified by a Cardinals fan who said this villain actually helped the boy snag a ball just a few innings before. The man and his wife celebrating their wedding anniversary. This was their first ever visit to Wrigley Field. He presented the ball to his wife as a keepsake, but only after he had helped to snag baseballs for that boy and 2 other kids seated next to his wife. So the headline, the true and fair headline, ought to be, "Generous guy snags balls for little kids, plural, at Cubs game." This is the headline we should have led with. Unfortunately, while we had information, we did not have perspective. And even the most diligent skeptics, including so many of my fellow heathen liberals, get sucked into this. We are all human beings who can jerk at the knee. You guys ever see this one? Anybody remember back when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling? I know you guys know the story. He was kneeling during the national anthem to protest police brutality and racial injustice in this country. Well, this guy, Phil Braun, tweeted himself because Nike had hired Colin Kaepernick as a spokesman for Nike. They thought, this is the man we want to represent us. So people protested, like Phil Braun, and he burned his Nike shoes while he was wearing them. Now, hang on, I'm going to show you one more burn video. I'll tell you when it's safe to look back. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. All right, he posted burn videos of his feet with the tweet, "I am in the hospital." I saw my fellow skeptics share this thing immediately. Proof that people are just that stupid. It's probably racist. They hate Colin Kaepernick. They hate America. They're this dumb. If they'd taken 10 seconds to check out Phil Braun's Twitter profile, they would have noticed he's a comedian and an online prankster. And that burn photo he posted, that was from the website of an Australian trauma center that was posted more than a year before. Phil Braun effectively trolled social media, and we bought his story hook, line, and sinker. It's safe to look back. Okay, this is a bit disturbing. Anyone remember the Momo scare from 6 years ago? Momo. She's coming for your kids. News outlets in the Twitterverse were freaking out over a story that their kids were being harassed by anonymous users, mostly on WhatsApp. And the kids would receive something with Momo's face on it, but it would be an anonymous user behind them. And it'd say, "All right, I want you to take the Momo challenge." And the challenges would begin innocuously enough. I want you to go and do this innocuous prank or do this kind of fun thing, and then it got to be more sinister. And then I want you to harm other people, and then I want you to harm yourself. And then some allegations were that they wanted children to commit suicide. Parents flipped out. And the consequences, according to the Momo challenge story, were that if the kids didn't do this, Momo was going to come and harm their mom and dad. There will be consequences if you don't do what Momo says. Globally, parents and preachers, even some police freaked out. They warned about terror games, suicide pacts, a global threat to kids. Yet there is no evidence any of this was real. And a cursory Google image search would have revealed this is a known sculpture. It's made by a guy named Kasuke Yasawa. He works for a company. You know what that company does? They build props for horror movies. Rumors of the sinister Momo challenge apparently started with one Facebook group in South America, probably pranksters. Other people latched on, maybe pranksters. Before you know it, it gets liked and shared and liked and shared. It catches fire. People started subjectively attaching all kinds of tragedies to Momo. If something happened in the world, especially to a child, it was the Momo challenge. And then the trolls and the clickbaiters piled on, and the hysteria about Momo continues in some places today. Here's one that got me, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but we're all family, and you're not judgy people, so here we go. This was posted on the BBC. The story of Pastor Docho Achete. He went into a croc-infested river to baptize people, and then he was eaten by a crocodile. Knowing what we know, this sounds like something that could actually take place. Was it Barnum who said no one ever went broke, underestimating the intelligence of the public? We know there are some people in this world where the gene pool needs chlorine. We understand that these people are out there, all right? We know the Darwin Awards exist for a reason. Hammett over at Friendly Atheist posted this, reminding us that we need to be better fact checkers. I'm sorry, this is recent. 80 people there, nobody got photos or video, no documentation. What about the long history of variations of this story in other places? One source to the story and it's uncorroborated. The whole thing refuted on Snopes, but I eagerly jumped because it validated my position that religion harms people and it makes us all dumb and we do destructive things. And so I liked and shared, and so many of my fellow skeptics did the same, right? We know there is a whole lot of stupid out there, and this just validated that. I should have known better. I just wanted to believe it. I saw, I clicked, I smirked, I shared. Time published this article that's written by a reporter named Katie Steinmetz talking about how even the smartest people fall for dumb stuff. I wrote a book called Christianity Made Me Talk Like an Idiot. I wasn't an idiot when I was a believer, but I'd been programmed by family culture and dogmas to say stuff that made no sense to me. Our brains can be hacked. The wrong impulses, they can hijack even the most critical brains. We doom scroll our news feeds, our Facebook and Twitter feeds, barely digesting the first few words, and then we move on. No pausing, no digging, no vetting, nah. We're social animals, so sharing this stuff with people of like mind brings affirmation to us. It's a rush. We get validated and attention. And we want our world to fit neatly on a meme. If it's nuanced, if it's complex, if it's messy, then you and I activate the reduction machine. All human beings do this. No one's immune. It's 2024. We are drowning in a tidal wave of facts, partial facts, alternative facts, false facts, and we're all guilty of bad reasoning, of bias, and jumping to conclusions without fact-checking. We all can get taken. The famous theoretical physicist Richard Feynman said, "The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool." We don't like to hear that. I hate it. I'm not like those gullible slobs out there. I'm above it all. Yeah, right. We have to be aware that almost everybody out there has an agenda or an angle. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have an agenda. I'm here with an agenda to try to promote reason and humanism and human connection and to try to raise the alarm about some dangers out there. That's my agenda, but there are a lot of people that have a bad agenda. Right? We are creatures of emotion, which means we can be manipulated. Feelings natural and necessary. I've met some skeptics and they're like, well, I'm done with emotion. And I think, good luck with that. Why would you try to amputate one of the most beautiful parts of the human experience, a necessary part? What moved us about Claire today was that she made us feel something. That's part of being alive. It's amazing. It's okay to feel something about the things we think about. Never apologize for having emotions and deep feelings. Man, that's part of what makes us human. But we have to be aware of the power of emotional manipulation to mislead us. Emotion can be a great motivator, but we have to vet and verify as often as we can. I'm going to lean here at the end on some material that's posted by a friend of mine, Melanie Tresick King, at thinkingispower.com. She is an educator, and she does a lot of speaking about how we all just need to take a chill pill and vet this stuff and realize that we can all be victims of bad ideas. And she makes this graphic which says, are we reasoning or are we just rationalizing? Reasoning, we have a body of evidence, we use logic and come to a conclusion. Rationalizing means we make a conclusion and then we go out and we cherry pick low quality evidence to try to validate what we thought in the first place. Well, that's not reasoning. Are we more apt to believe a falsehood because we've heard it 1,000 times? You hear it over and over and over. I'm doing another presentation out there, and this is probably going to cause some people to sit forward in their chairs. There's no evidence that MSG is bad for you in Chinese food. Right? Everybody starts to be like, oh, no, I tell you, I've heard my whole life. I know it's bad. I know it. Yeah. Sugar doesn't make your kids hyperactive. People go crazy, right? There are so many of these things that you and I have just accepted because we heard it 1,000 times. Here's one I'm totally embarrassed to admit. When I was a devout, Bible-believing Christian, I thought that men had one fewer ribs than women. because God had taken Adam's rib. All I had to do was be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all I had to do. I just assumed it. I believed it for decades. Am I leaning into it because it validates what I already think and feel? How sure am I? What's the source? What are my reasons? What's my process? How would I feel if I was wrong? Man, it stings to be wrong, doesn't it? It sucks. I hate it. Someone's like, nope, you're wrong. And I have to resist, and I resist, and then I realize I'm wrong. And that hurts. It stings. What would it take to change my mind? Do I want to be right, or do I want to be proven right? Two different things. I like what Phil Plait said. He said, the only good part of April Fool's Day is it shows people what it's like to be a skeptic the rest of the year. Notice on April Fools, you're like, oh, you better double check that. That doesn't sound right. April 1st, April Fools. Let's do that every day of the year. And finally, I'll finish with the great cosmologist Carl Sagan. In the way that skepticism is sometimes applied to issues of public concern, there's a tendency to belittle, to condescend, to ignore the fact that deluded or not supporters of superstition and pseudoscience are human beings with real feelings who, like the skeptics, are trying to figure out how the world works and what our role in it might be. Their motives are in many cases consonant with science if their culture has not given them all the tools they need to pursue this great quest. Let us temper our criticism with kindness. None of us comes fully equipped. In my own life as an activist, a frontline activist, I've grown weary of the dehumanization of the other. I've seen religious people do it to the non-religious. I've seen people in one religion do it to another religion. I've seen denominations within religions do it to other denominations in the same religions. We are obviously tribal creatures. But once you remove somebody's humanity, you can excuse a whole lot of awfulness against them. You can say, they're not even a person. You can't reason with them. They need to be destroyed. You cram them into a box and then you crush the box. And in the internet, it's never been easier. Never been easier. Where's our humanity and compassion? Who of us have never been a victim of bad ideas or gotten something wrong or done something stupid? We're all going to get it wrong from time to time. We're going to make a mistake. We're going to get suckered. I'm going to get suckered. It'll be a site or a link or an article or a documentary or whatever. But I want to try to calm myself. This is an exercise I'm working through. Am I thinking or am I knee-jerking? Am I charged up emotionally? Like, am I happy, sad, angry? Somebody pushed a button somewhere? Have I checked my sources? Do I know or do I just want to believe? Information isn't necessarily good information. So often it's information without perspective. And today, in this crazy world of click farms and trolls and deep fakes and outrage for profit and 8 billion other primate brains on this planet, let's pace ourselves and let's engage each other. Let's think before we rage. And let's do our best whenever we can not to forget humanity, the humanity of others and the humanity within ourselves. Thank you all so very much for the honor of speaking today.
We on the mic? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Seth, for so eloquently showing us the intersection of skepticism and humanism. Always entertaining. The Welcome team will now take up a collection to support the society. We rely on the generosity of members and friends, so please consider donating. If you don't have cash with you today, you can donate at ethicalstl.org/donate or use the QR code on the screen. We appreciate anything you may be able to offer. If you're interested in joining the Ethical Society, or you are a visitor and would like to know more about the society, there's a table downstairs called Visitors Connect and some fancy new signage to help you find it. Members and our new membership coordinator, Katie, will be around to answer your questions. One announcement I'd like to make is while this is technically the second Sunday, we will not be holding our Donuts with the Director visitors meeting until future notice. We were closed last week, and we are still in the process of rescheduling that meeting. But I encourage you to keep your eye out if you're a visitor. This is always a great opportunity to ask any questions about the society that you may have in a small group setting. We would love to keep you informed about the future events of the Ethical Society of St. Louis. You may use the QR code to sign up for the weekly newsletter, check the Friends of Ethical Society Facebook group, or email the relevant staff person or member. This is a busy and vibrant place that relies on volunteers, and I hope you get involved and connected. Let's welcome Claire, I think she's already back, to our back to the stage for our final musical selection, Important by Ian McConnell.
This is by the same composer as the first song, another musing about life and the beauty of cosmic insignificance. I'm pretty sure that life doesn't have a meaning. And if there's a God, they sure don't look like me. I'm just a member of the current apex species. But there'll be another when the humans go extinct. We've only been around 200,000 years of 13.5 billion years. How can we think the pinnacle is here? Isn't that arrogant? There's a couple 100 billion trillion suns, and we act like it all was made for us. There ain't no way that we're the only ones. I'm not important, and neither are you. So let's do whatever we want to do. Bask in our cosmic insignificance. Soak up this blip we're living in, 'cause nothing matters anyway. Isn't that great? Humans aren't really gonna kill the planet. We'll just make the planet unlivable for us. But Earth will keep right on spinning way long after we ain't in it. And life will keep right on living till the sun explodes. And oh, I'm not important, and neither are you. So let's do whatever we wanna do. Bask in our cosmic insignificance. Soak up this blip we're living in, 'cause nothing matters anyway. Isn't that great? I don't mean to be a downer, I don't even think it's sad. The universe is gigantic and it's kind of beautiful that I'm not important, and neither are you. So let's do whatever we wanna do. Bask in our cosmic insignificance. Soak up this blip we're living in, 'cause nothing matters anyway. Isn't that great?
Thank you, Claire. That song is one of my favorite examples of what I call optimistic nihilism. Thank all of you for being here today, for each other and for yourselves. I hope today's platform helped you feel more connected to one another and motivated you to implement the core values more in your day-to-day life. I invite you to spend more time in community today. Our speaker will be available for additional questions in the Becker room. Actually, he's got a book table in the back, so I would encourage you to check that out. Just follow the crowd downstairs in the elevator. All are welcome. Have a great rest of your day and a wonderful week. I hope you're able to stay cool. Thank you all.